And here we are. What's up, brother?
Oh, just waking up, getting ready for the day.
Yeah, me too. Look at my stupid freckles. Anyways, so what are we going to be talking about today, man?
We were talking about doing a quick episode on mysterious phone booths and stairwells showing up in the woods. And that was quite a big thing a few years ago. Everybody was talking about it.
I wonder why they stopped. Do you think that people got creeped out enough, or they just stopped, or do you think that you know it was no longer cool because everybody just seen the set? Like, yeah, it's just stairs. Who cares?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was a huge thing, and it was talked about for quite a bit, and then all of a sudden it just stopped.
Damn, and
Nobody's talking about it anymore.
even the source, because I weren't they set up like these mistakes. And for those of you that don't know, just like in certain forests or just like areas where you don't expect a set of stairs to be, there was just a set of stairs in the middle of nowhere, just stairs.
Yeah, just a set of stairs, and I ran across a couple of stories of one set of staircases that were just some guy was doing some kind of thing for forestry or
Yeah.
something to do with animals, and he was out in the woods, and there's a staircase, and he's like, okay, this is weird, and he did his thing, and then camped out overnight and went back to the same spot, and the stairs were gone, but around the stairs was burnt ground, but the stairs are gone. And then he found the set moved
Wait,
somewhere else. And then again, the stairs disappeared, but was a patch of burnt ground around that.
that's crazy. Dude, man, that reminds me of Operation Stargate. The the not just time travel, but like teleportation and stuff like that. And a lot of people were saying that and again, I don't know like how true this is, but they were saying that whenever you got this machine going, that there was like the smell of burnt, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I think I tried to coin them as like pits, like paranormal, interdimensional, transitional spaces. Like they just randomly show up, and if sometimes they're made out of this wood that cannot be scratched, chipped, burnt, anything. And I guess I found a couple stories of one forest ranger found a set, and he went up to the top, and he like, how you do the cautionary
yeah.
before you go through. Yeah, he got about to like here, and all of a sudden his hand got lopped off, just
What?
surgically removed. Yeah,
You
just whoop. And he wasn't bleeding out or anything, I guess, but his hand was gone. They couldn't find it.
got cauterized,
Yeah,
popped it.
laser cauterized right off. And there was another story of a lady finding a set of staircases in the woods, and she climbed to the top and started coming down. And she's like, I don't feel well. And I guess she had some rangers around her too. And she's coming down the stairs, and she's like, I don't feel well. And all of a sudden her eyes just started filling with blood, and she collapsed and died right there from a brain aneurysm.
Damn, you know what that reminds me of? Yeah. Have you ever heard or looked into the story of Mel's Hole?
Yes, I've
The,
heard about that.
Damn. Okay, so they started lowering animals. They started lowering animals with tied to a rope to kind of see like what would happen, and then the animals would go quiet, and they would pull them up, and the animals would be like so messed up just from being lowered that they would just collapse and die. And sometimes their eyeballs would explode, sometimes their hair would turn completely gray. And there was even a story where this guy, man, it's such an interesting story because a lot of people say that it's bullshit, but I think that if you actually type in the coordinates that he gives, I think you can actually see the damn hole. But now it belongs to the government. The government bought that land. Not a bought that, they took the land.
Yeah, I
This is
mean
really
he had it forever, and he was experimenting with it. He'd toss like 400-foot rope down there and he couldn't hit the bottom, or he'd throw a rock down there and he wouldn't hear it hit the ground. And he's like, oh, okay, this is weird.
Dude,
And
he throws
then,
rocks like fishing line,
yeah, fishing line, that was it.
and the spool would just disappear, and these were like hundreds of yards, and then just disappears. Never hit the. It's like that. That's insane. And didn't he start charging like the neighbors to start like throwing their garbage in there? Like,
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. And then I think he would charge people to come and see the hole. And then all of a sudden the government was just like, yeah, this is ours now.
yeah, and then they tried. I think they didn't. So I don't remember how. Like, see, and I've read this years ago, and my brain isn't functioning correctly. But so I think that he ended up like they invited him to a diner or something, and they're like, "Hey, come out to the blah blah blah, and we'll discuss what we're planning on doing, or whatever it is." And then he started like eating, and then he like woke up. He just like woke up, and he was in a different city, and he was without shoes, just like in some alley. And he was like, "Where am I?" And they're like, "Dude, you're in San Francisco," And he was like a couple states over, and they're like, "What?"
Oh, yeah, yeah, never accept an invite from the government to go eat at a diner at any time, because that's not the first story I've heard of somebody eating at a diner and here comes a G-man and they're like, hey, you want to talk? And they're like, no. It's like, well,
no, no, thanks.
you're like, yeah, sure. And the next thing you know is they're gone,
And
waking up in a different city, don't know how they got there.
yeah, that's what I think. That's also what happened to a guy that was working for Bigelow. Like he was telling a story about how he wanted to quit and he didn't like the job, whatever it was. So this guy's like, "All right, just let me try to talk you out of quitting. Just come have lunch with me and blah blah blah, and then we'll go." And then he wakes up in the middle of Detroit, and he's
Oh,
all dirty and he's not wearing clothes.
Lord, oh,
Uh,
that's so creepy.
And you hear the rumors of I don't know if we covered this on our last the last time we got together, but something about how he was hearing them talk about somebody else, and then the guy was like, "Just get rid of him, make him a homeless person in the Twin Cities." And he said, "What?
Yeah,
Wipe his memory, make him a homeless person in the Twin Cities."
it wasn't that a scientist that said that?
Yeah, that's what that was. It was
Yeah, and he just happened to be walking by the office and they're like, hey, this guy's trouble. And he's
yeah,
like, okay, well, make him disappear. And he's like, no, 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 no. I would have left. I would have
yeah,
thrown everything on the desk and wiped my computer and left.
yeah. Just start shooting all your hard drives, and moved to that guy, the Mel's Hulk. I think he lives in Australia now. I think he left the country because he started getting like threats because he was doing like the show on Art Bell, and then they're like, "We heard."
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that'll get you in trouble.
that Art Bell show. That show was crazy. I love the whole Art Bell thing because it didn't matter what you said. Art Bell was just, like you're like, "Oh, t- tell me about yourself." He's like, "I'm a werewolf from the future. Tell me more." And it was
Yeah,
never like,
that's all he had to say. And so he's like, interesting. Tell
yeah,
me more. And eventually, I don't know. Eventually, that he was like the person calling and be like, you know what? I do sound like a crazy person, and just hang up.
yep, that's what. So that was the conspiracy behind Art Bell, which I like that. How Art Bell didn't believe anything. He just like he was like the ultimate troll. He just let people. So there's a video. There's an episode where this guy's talking about EVPs, and Art Bell's so serious, and he's like, so tell
Sorry.
the government. Um, so So this guy's like, "Yeah, so in this EVP, you're gonna hear somebody say, 'Somebody please help me, I'm lost.'" And Art Bell says, "You said that's what we're gonna hear, so that's what we're gonna hear. Let's put it on." And it's like,
Yeah, you just yeah,
Art Bell,
just play it, and then have people make up their mind.
yeah, just play it and shut up. And then that's what's how the hell do we get on Mel? So, anyways, the point is he went on on the Art Bell show, and he started getting threats. And I guess this guy's like hobby, and I might be getting the story mixed up, but this guy's hobby was he would take these like old like pennies and put them on belts, you know, and he would like put them on these belts, and that was like his whole thing. Like he decorated belts, and they were he didn't sell them; they were for himself, you know. And then he started getting like cool, and this was like a secret hobby, like it was just like his whole thing. Where I wouldn't say secret, like he just did it at home. He thought it was fun, and then he started getting like these letters from no one, and they had the same type of pennies that he utilized, or there were pennies from his home that because he knew what the pennies were, he knew what year it was, and he would get these, and he's like, I cannot find this penny. Where did this penny go? And then he would just get the penny in the mail and be like, keep quiet. And it's like these people were in my home.
Yep. That's their little signal of we can get in and there's nothing you can do about it.
And this guy, I think he was retired too. So it's not like he left for work and then he come back 8 hours later. This guy was home all the time because he also lived in the middle of nowhere. So I wonder if in his brain he's like, these people were in my home while I was sleeping, didn't make a sound, took my stuff, and
Well, if he's retired and he's living out in the middle of nowhere, usually they've got a farm of some sort. So, and there's always work to do on a farm. So he probably like went out to the barn to go get something. Somebody,
yeah,
and then left.
they're dressed like one of those old French cat burglars named
Yeah.
Agent Moosty, and it's like he's walking there dressed like a mime, just do. Yeah, this penny right here. Damn.
The Scooby Doo scary theme playing, and he's like,
Doom, doom, doom. Do, as he's going in there. So yeah. So anyways, why are we talking about Mel's hole? Well, because of the kind of just the kind of like secrecy, because this guy had to leave the country. Same thing with the stairs. Like the stairs things is so weird because there was a lot of park rangers, which actually they said they saw the stairs, and then years later, when somebody would question on them, they didn't see anything. Like they stopped, like like, oh, I don't know.
and the phone booths that show up in the woods.
Yeah, the phone booth thing. That's probably even. I don't know why. To me, that's more disturbing. Is the
Yeah, I ran into an interesting story of a guy who was hiking and he found an old phone booth just sitting out in the woods, and he pried the door open and picked up the receiver, and he could hear like holiday music playing in the background, like Christmas or something like that. And
oh, you're gonna start singing my personal Jesus?
no, I can't sing for worth a damn. So yeah, he picks up the receiver and he hears holiday music, and then he hears his voice as a little kid
Oh,
asking about like where these drawings are or something like that, and he mentions his friend and his dog or something like that, and he's like, that's weird. And he's like, I'm 50 and my friend is 52 and my dog, see, he specifically heard his old dog's name. It's like that dog passed away years ago, and he's like, what is this? And the kid picks up the phone because he hears him talking. He's like, this is so weird. And then the kid picks up the phone. He's like, hello, who's this? And then he's like, this is so and so. And they have a little conversation. And he's asking about how his art, because the guy who found the phone booth is an artist. He's asking about, how his drawings are going or something like that. And he's like, oh, it's doing all right, and stuff like that. And he's like, you probably want my dad. And he's like, oh, my dad died years ago. He's like, this is my one chance to talk to him again. So he talks to his dad for a
yeah.
little bit. And he's like, you know what? You're going to have a thing coming up, like a health issue. They'll take care of it. You'll be fine. Your family loves you, blah, blah, blah. And then he hangs up the phone. And I wouldn't know how to react to that if I,
Yeah, that is nuts. Damn, that is like the. Have you ever heard of the what? I forget what the name of this damn thing. Where you get picked up on this bus, and then you realize that no one's on the bus with you, and then, or if there is people at the bus, no one's paying attention to you, and you're just driving, and you realize this guy missed your stop. And one of the stories that came they came up from this was this guy gets on this bus, and this he swears this bus has been going for hours, and he's like, I'm gonna be late to wherever, and he wants to get the attention of the bus driver. Bus driver's not paying any attention, just looking forward, just driving, not slowing down, and he's realizing that he's going through these streets which are empty. He's like, there's no one in these streets, and then he sits down, and then there's this old man that's sitting across from him, and this old man begins to talk to him, and he's
Alright, and this concludes the end of the free feed. Link in description for the full version coming soon.